All right, hello and welcome to lesson 4, the foundations of reading, phonemic awareness and phonics. We are going to jump right into these absolutely two sort of crucial ideas around reading. So basically, for successful reading instruction, according to the National Institute for Literacy, it has been discovered that to successfully teach children to read, there must be 5 areas of reading instruction included in any pedagogical instructional strategy choice. So the first 2 are phonemic awareness phonics and then vocabulary fluency, text comprehension. The reason why then that I pulled these 2, phonemic awareness and phonics, out, sort of separate them as the foundation of learning, is because every reading strategy that is out there has these 2 aspects in it at some level. Some strategies will say it's absolutely, like maybe we should be teaching at 10-15% of the time, and others would say we absolutely have to be teaching phonemic awareness almost 100% of the time. So that's why I pulled these particular ideas out to look at specifically. Okay, so basically, how do you even deal with the teaching, the potential teaching of phonics and phonemes? So basically, you have to know the lingo. You have to know the terms around it. You have to know what the actual phonemes are. You have to know how to work with the phonemes. You need to evaluate claims of how to teach the phonemes. And then how do I actually teach them? What are some systems that are out there? And we're going to have a little bit of a look at sound thinking. And then we're going to dive deep with the Secret Stories by Katie Gardner. So that's kind of what we're up to today. So let's start with the idea that phonics and phonemic awareness, we need to absolutely have it cemented in your mind that they are not the same thing. Phonemic awareness is the understanding that the sounds of spoken language work together to make words. Remember last year, it's all about the sound. So if you close your eyes, you could still be aware of a phoneme, and be phonemically aware. However, phonics is the understanding that there's a relationship between letters and sounds through the actual written language. So actually now, connecting all these sounds that are coming out of my mouth with these weird scribbles that are on the page, that's phonics. Okay, so children who cannot hear and work with the phonemes of spoken words will have a difficult time learning how to relate these phonemes to letters when they see them in written words. So if kids cannot even figure out that words are made up of separate sounds and what those sounds are, when they go to actually try to connect it to these weird scribbles on the page, it's going to be really difficult. And it's a very abstract concept for them. And so it's really, if they don't have phonemic awareness and phonics basically under their belt by grade 3, it's really tricky for them to read at the levels that they need to for grade 4, 6, 9, and 12 in there. Okay, so this is some review from 371. 371 is going to haunt you throughout the next couple of lessons, because lots of the sort of the introductions that I made there are now I'm going to expect, hopefully, that you have a good grasp of those. So basically, this is the lingo. So phonology is the study of the sounds of language and the study of the patterns of sound that create meaning in language. Again, it's all about what's going on sound-wise. So again, just to reiterate, the phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in language. We basically have 44 different phonemes. Some systems, you'll see some have more and some have less. This is not connected to printed letters of the alphabet. So, the alphabet is 26 letters. There are 44 different phonemes, but it's not connected to the particular letters of the alphabet in there. And what I would suggest here is that you stop the video now and that you go on to this website. You've seen this before in 371. And now what I want you to do is I want you to read through all of the phonemes. So I actually want you to go b, ball, k, cat. Like, I want you to actually say them all, because if you don't have a sense of what the phonemes are, when you go to help a child to develop their phonemic awareness, you might be making mistakes, and you might just not know the different phonemes. You might be blending two phonemes together that actually are two separate ones. So I would seriously take about 10 minutes, stop this, go through the sound portion of it, and then read all of the examples. And then look at all the ways that we actually spell all of the sounds, because again, it's a little crazy in English. Okay, so stop the video, go do that, and then come on back. Okay, hope you enjoyed your talking to yourself through that phoneme list. It's imperative that you have an understanding. So continuing on with phonology terms, phonological awareness is the global awareness and ability to manipulate the sound structures of speech. So that's, again, you have this global awareness that you can manipulate the sound. Phonemic awareness is the child's awareness of the individual phonemes, so that the child actually knows that words are made up of individual sounds, and it's the child's ability to manipulate those sounds. So they can change the first letter of cat, to make a flying animal, which hopefully you would say bat, b-at, in there. Okay, morphology is again, this is just 371 review. Is the study of the structure of words and how morphemes combine to create new meaning. And a morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit of language. It can be a whole word or a part of a word, such as a prefix or suffix. So in ungrateful, you have 3 phonemes. Ungrateful. It's the smallest part of the word that actually can make sense on its own. So if you have something like need to go now, there's no, the whole word is the morpheme. Okay, graphophonemic awareness. Now this is when we're starting to get into the actual written letters. So graphophonemic awareness is the relationship between printed letters now and sounds. So very much like the phonics, but if you want to be technical, it's graphophonemic awareness. Think about graph as pictures. So it's starting to put those pictures of letters and the actual sounds together. So a grapheme is a letter or letter combination that spells a single phoneme. So for example, the k sound in English, you can spell it C, K, or CK. The E sound, like a long E sound, can be spelled EE, EA, IE, EI, and E. So that's what a grapheme is. It's the letter or letter combination that spells a single phoneme. So again, hopefully you saw those on that phoneme chart, so that when you say, when you think about the E sound, that you are aware as the teacher that the child has several different spellings that they need to be able to attach to that particular sound. Okay, remember the chaos poem from 371? English is a crazy language. It's hard. One of the articles that I read in preparation for our time together today was Louisa Moat's Teaching Reading is Rocket Science. And her premise is teaching reading is hard. These are really abstract concepts, and English has so many variables that it's rocket science. So think about reading in that way. Reading for young kids, some kids will just come to it quickly. Others, it is really a laborious task. Okay, so now, what are the actual phonemes? So this is this chart that you hopefully had a chance to look at earlier in the video. So if you want to, again, just do another little review of that, you can actually go to the YouTube clip here and have a listen to all of the phonemes being spoken if you just want to keep reviewing those. But it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how many. So long A vowel in snail, you can spell baby, way, straight, hay, croquet, vein, gauge, cake, break, they. If you want to really get into it, don't say the consonants. Just go in your head, go A, just to prove that all of these are the same vowel sound. A, st, 8, right? If you want to do that, it just solidifies that we have a crazy number of phonemes and graphemes that are stuck together in here. Okay, so again, you really have to have you have to know these phonemes inside and out. So again, take the time. If you kind of skimmed through it on the last slide, listen to the YouTube clip and really get these under your belt. Okay, let's keep going. So now, this is a little bit of activity for you to do right now. We're going to do a little bit more of this type of thing in our Collaborate session. But for right now, I want you to, again, go through and figure out how many phonemes in each word. So I want you to just be able to just write down 3, 4, 2, whatever you think these are. And then you're welcome to look back at that phoneme list and see where this is. So again, stop the video and just have a little bit of a go with this. Okay, hope you had fun doing that. It's very interesting because as such advanced readers now, it's tricky for us to think about words like that. But when we're teaching phonics and phonemic awareness, we have to have that skill to be able to separate the sounds and the letters out. Okay, so now what are the phonemes here? So I want you to actually write this out. So use the sound symbols on the left-hand side of the phoneme list. So actually, I'll just cruise back to that so you know what I'm talking about. So use this here. So use these symbols here. And I want you now to actually write out what the phonemes are for these particular words. Once you're done that, you can go to the website, don't cheat, go to the website here and you can check your answers so that you can get a sense of what's going on. And then in Collaborate, when we meet, we are going to do a little bit more work on this. So be ready to put your skills into use for Collaborate. Okay. How now? So you have an idea of the individual phonemes. You got those 44 sounds pretty much under control. We know that they don't live in isolation. The phonemes have to come together. They have to come together to form words. And so how do you now deal with these phonemes? This is straight up 371 review. So I'm just going to do a quick review of this, and I want you to for sure know what particularly these 4 aspects of how to deal with phonemes are. I'm going to do a little, is this the right definition? Again, on Collaborate. So have a pretty good idea of what these are. So phoneme isolation, this is when the child can recognize individual sounds in a word. So if you say cat, they know that there are 3 sounds. Cat. Phoneme identity is when they recognize the same sounds in different words. So bow, cow, they would know that the ow sound is the same. Phoneme categorization is when the child recognizes a word in a set of 3 or 4 words that has the odd sound out. So cow, bow, moo, and sow. They hopefully would be able to say moo is a different sound. So that's categorization. Phoneme blending, this is a big one because we do this all the time, is they listen to a sequence of separately spoken phonemes and then combine the phonemes to form a word. So they blend the phonemes together. Okay? Segmentation, you probably can figure this out, is they are able to separate out. So if you said cat, they could separate they could segment it out into cat. Okay? They break a word into its separate sounds. Phoneme deletion, this is when they recognize the word that remains when a phoneme is removed from another word. So they know that if you have desks and you remove S, that what remains is desk. So you can take a letter or your sound out. Sorry, not a letter. They can take a sound out and they can go, okay, what's left is this. And again, it's the other way around. For addition, they know that if they add a sound on, desk can become desks by adding a S sound. And phoneme substitution, this is when they can substitute one phoneme for another to make another word. So you could say, I'm going to change, my word is cat. I'm going to change the middle phoneme to caught. So that's substitution. Again, be ready to identify these at your collaborate session, because again, you need to party talk this. Okay, now you really understand my my illustration of party talking with the Freemans, right? When we get together with them, we always talk education, and it's just a given that we all understand this lingo. So that's where you want to get to. So you can party talk with the Freemans. That's the ultimate. Okay, so let's jump into now, how do I actually teach phonemes and phonics? Because ultimately it's good to have the knowledge of what's going on, but then how do I ultimately teach phonemes and phonics? So I just for fun, I Googled, sorry, where's my little pencil here? What's it doing? There we go, I just had to be patient. I Googled phonics programs for elementary students. I thought, how many hits can I get? Wow, 10,600,000 hits for phonics programs for elementary students. So then I thought, well, I'll bring it down a little bit. Teaching phonemic awareness to elementary students. Thought that's got to narrow it a little bit. Oh, not much. 10,500,000. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to teach phonemes and phonics. It's a little overwhelming, but know that over your career, you're going to come across several different systems, all claiming that they are the one that is the best to teach phonemes and phonics. You have to be the smart academics and researchers that you are, and use some of the following criteria to actually judge whether this system is worthy of your students and worthy of you. So how do you evaluate a phonics program? Basically, you want to, is it feasible? Do you have the resources? Is it part of the school's ideology? Is your whole school using it? Is it actually feasible for you to use that particular system with its particular ideology? Is it connected to child development? So what you know about child development, brain research, all those kind of things, does it coincide with where the child is at developmentally? So if you are introducing phonics and phonemic awareness at grade 6, it doesn't really fit with child development, because they should be starting to go into more abstract kind of thinking. And that's linked with scientific research. So is there actual scientific research behind the program, or is it actually company research? And that's always an interesting thing, is when the company that's promoting it oftentimes does its scientific research, but the company is a company, and its modus operandi is to make money. And so it will, what you know from good credible research is that when a company does its own research on a product that they want to sell, what do you think the research is going to show? The research is going to show that the product is amazing. So be cautious of that. I just wanted to allude to this. I was reading an article called At a Loss for Words by Emily Hanford, and she talks about Fontes and Pinnell, which we looked at a little bit last year, and you're going to have a chance to have a go with it again. And she contacted Heinemann to say, okay, have you been taking into account the new, well, not necessarily new, but the cognitive scientist's view on how the brain works around phonemes and phonics? And basically, the school districts are still buying the material, and Heinemann, who is Fontes and Pinnell's publisher, actually sold $500 million worth of just Fontes and Pinnell material in 2018. And basically, when Emily Hanford, the author of this article, wrote to Fontes and Pinnell and Heinemann to have interviews, they were all declined. And Heinemann sent a statement that said, every product the company sells is informed by extensive research. Okay, so again, be smart. Be the smart researchers that you've spent 2 or 3 or 4 years becoming through your university degree. Okay. Let's go into time for planning. So some programs take a long time to plan, and others are basically just flip the page and the resources are all there. So again, that's definitely something you want to look at. Resources. Do you have to buy a lot of extra resources? Are the resources included? If they are they good? Again, lots of times these programs will have, it'll be all the resources are included, but sometimes the resources are really, they're not great. They're not great. They're not great stories. They're not great books. They're not great themes. So again, you have to be really careful. Is it relevant? Lots of programs are still based on white middle class ideologies. And so are the books, are the themes, are they bringing in Indigenous perspectives? Or are they bringing in ideas that are traditionally been connected with more marginalized students? So again, just is it relevant to who we are as 21st century people? And I like this ultimate criteria. Is it boring? If you're bored as a teacher, the kids are ultimately bored. Lots of these phonics programs are scripted, so you can just literally turn the page and read the script. Okay, students, now today we're going to blah, blah, blah. Again, sometimes it's nice, especially as a new teacher, to have those kind of resources, but ultimately, if you do that every day, it's just super boring. And phonics and phonemic awareness are kind of hard enough as it is without being boring. Okay, so I want you to now, so keep these, how many? Seven ideas in mind as you go through these next words are nice. These, oh my goodness, series, these programs, there we go, that's the word. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to stop the video and take about 15 minutes. I've scheduled this into your time, so it's not extra time. I want you to look at these with all the criteria on the last slide, and I want you to be ready to discuss the pros and cons of these, how many? 5 of these 5 programs. Again, it's basically, I've just kind of gone to their homepage, so you just have a look around, but I want you to look around with a critical literacy lens, and particularly with a lens of how to evaluate phonics programs. And be ready to collaborate to discuss the pros and cons of these particular programs. There's the word. Okay, so again, stop for about 15 minutes, have a look through all of these websites, write some notes down so that you can talk to your colleagues intelligently about these. These are all series that I have seen out in Medicine Hat in either the public or the Catholic schools. So these are definitely programs and series that are out there in schools right now. Okay, I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to start the next video when we jump into looking at our particular series in depth. So enjoy.